To our global CTKS family, we're grateful that you're here. All of us together make this one of the best communities on YouTube. Here, we use the world's leading indicator of price, the CTKS method, to give us X-ray vision across stocks, cryptos, forex, commodities, and yields. So we can see what the top 1% in financial markets see before the move happens. That's a license to print money and a way to stay safe. Whilst others are panicked, we are calm. When others guess, we stack probabilities. We don't fall for hype or stories, we profit from reality. We know making just 3.5% per week is a 498% profit per year. We are the elite 1% in financial markets. Price moves in waves, so no matter if price is going up or down, please be kind to yourself, be kind to others, be dedicated and committed, and never blame. Instead, learn and grow into the best version of yourself. Let's see what the markets are doing today. Inside the crypto market, crypto fear and greed has reached extreme fear of 15. And how about inside the stock market, what is that? That's also extreme fear 23. These are the best opportunities to buy. But unfortunately, this won't be the case for most people. When people see red, the initial reaction is always panic. Oh my God, I've got to sell this damn thing. And then that damn thing goes up. To guide our understanding of where price can go, we do the cheat sheet. The cheat sheet is available absolutely free of charge from CTKSmethod.org. Now, could the cheat sheet have saved us from what happened just now, this sell-off? The answer to that question largely just is based on what time you looked at the cheat sheet. We can see here inside row 1, which is the VIX, the DXY, dollar yen, the 10-year, the 2-year, and oil. The VIX spiked up. Now we know that we've needed to keep our eye a very close observation on the VIX. A spike like this spiked the markets and crypto down. This is the cause. Now, what was this caused by? What was the VIX surge up caused by? So what I just did in the introduction is I showed you that the probability of a rate decrease in the federal funds rate was actually decreasing, and this has pushed yields up. So we got a really interesting thing. Even though yields came up, the dollar came down. We find this from time to time. Cheat sheet elements will go out of alignment. That's why you need to keep a really close eye on it. Keep your finger on the pulse of the cheat sheet. And we also saw oil come down. The market has been anticipating a rate cut in December, and this looks under threat. Now, when we look into row 2, we can see junk bonds is feeling it. Junk bonds is feeling the stress. In other words, the bond market is feeling stressed out. Now, when the VIX surges up any particular price chart, when they surge up, they're likely to retrace. Surge up, likely to retrace. Now, just bear that in mind with the VIX. We could get a bit of a, when we're talking about junk bonds, and indeed the market, the crypto and the stock market, we could see a bit of a kick up on Monday, and then followed by either continuation or repair. We'll have to keep a very close eye on the cheat sheet. Now, we've seen that the euro dollar is still going up. The Aussie dollar was going well, and you can see this big spike. That's where the sellers came down. Now, what does this mean to the VIX? We've been using the Aussie dollar as a real-time proxy for the VIX, and it's been doing a sparkling job. Keep your eye on the Aussie dollar as well. Now, the really interesting thing, even though the VIX spiked up so much, and it spiked like hell, look at what happened to gold. Now, and also silver. Why did gold and silver get whacked around the head with a wet fish? Well, basically because the yields were coming up. You saw the 10-year and the 2-year yields coming up, the DXY coming down. But the issue is, with the yields coming up, that puts negative price momentum inside commodities. And we saw that impact with gold, with silver, and also with copper. In other words, when we look at the crypto market, we're looking at the major risk sentiment indicator. It's literally the crypto fear and greed index just on your chart all the time. That is Bitcoin. Generally, after a big spike in the VIX, if we're not getting widespread panic, we would expect that Bitcoin will kick a leg up. So we have to look at structure. Now, just before we do that, let's have a look at row 3. Row 3 is the S&P 500, the Dow, the Nasdaq, and the Russell. We saw when the VIX spiked, boy oh boy, did it whack the hell out of the S&P 500. And it whacked the Nasdaq, it whacked the Dow, and it really whacked poor old Russell. Panic gets really widespread when we see these big red candles. And they are horrific if you don't know how to manage them and you also not really quite sure how price moves. So for example, when we look at the Russell, this big red candle, a lot of people would be expecting follow through, but it bounced up. What about this big red candle? Yeah, it did follow through and then reversed and then nearly wiped out the majority of that red candle, but definitely the candle before it. And then it went down. What is the law that we can, or the rule that we can learn from this? Price is always moving in a wave. It just doesn't continue. It waves up, it waves down, it's waving all over the place. Now, let's think a little bit more about what the context of all of this is. The US government, the Senate passed a vote to reopen the government. President Trump says, okay, government's reopened, and the markets sell off. What the? Don't forget that the institutions always want a good deal. They want a bargain. And the institutions are always throwing out retail from the market. As soon as retail sees a big red candle, they're out. As soon as retail sees a big green candle, they're in. And what do the institutions do? They follow big red, green candles by big red ones and big red ones by big green ones. In other words, price is moving in a wave. There are no shortage of people out there telling you absolutely and utterly incorrect things. For example, here we're looking at the S&P 500 futures, and this is Bitcoin. So Bitcoin is literally perfectly overlaying what's happened with the S&P 500 futures. In other words, if you were trading the S&P 500 futures, look at Bitcoin's direction. If Bitcoin comes down, you would anticipate that the S&P 500 futures would come down. If Bitcoin goes up, you would anticipate the S&P 500 futures would go up. Let's look at the Nasdaq. Yeah, that's pretty much following. What about the Dow? Yes, that's following. And what about the Russell? Now that's following. Now, what did I say? Some people just give you very, very bad intercorrelation advice. And first of all, what's intercorrelation? And if you're asking that question, you're new, and a very warm welcome to you. Intercorrelation is how we look at the markets. We don't look at the crypto market in isolation. Now, what would that mean? We would just look at Bitcoin. So many people in the crypto space only look at Bitcoin, and then we get these big sell downs and they say, what the hell happened? It's all manipulation. No, it's intercorrelation. And we can see it proving out, and we do look at it all the time. We can see that the major market indexes all sold off, and the futures are continuing to come down, and they're trying to find a bit of a base at the current time. And one thing that we know is big red candles cause retracements. If it is a very big red candle and we only get about a 25% retracement on that, we could expect a degree of follow through. If we get a 50% retracement, it could start to stabilize or at least wobble around. If we get about a 75% retracement, we are likely to see it reversing. What we need to do is to disconnect emotion from your trading and investing decisions. And remember, all investors become traders anytime they buy or sell. So buying and selling well is actually really important. Let's just quickly look into row 4, which is Apple, Microsoft, Strategy, Tesla, and Nvidia. We can see that Apple didn't really get that hard hit. It did get hit, but not like Tesla. Tesla was becoming, and this is on a daily basis, was becoming weaker and weaker and weaker. And we saw that weakness in yesterday's session, and the follow through was pretty much absolute. Now, one thing to just bear in mind, this is not good for Tesla. We could get a retracement up to around that 434 area. If it doesn't manage to get above there, retail will say this thing is going down, and they will put every sell level that they possibly can into Tesla. Just bear that in mind. Now, when we look at Nvidia, what do we see here? Yes, it came down, nothing like Tesla came down, but you can also see that there's a bit of a flaw under here. Now, I'm looking from a retail perspective, I'm not looking structurally, but you need to be able to do both. Now, the reason is just generally, retail is predominantly incorrect. We know the price is always moving from structural level to structural level. That's why price moves in waves. And we can also see that Microsoft came down, but Microsoft was literally over the past couple of weeks, it's been bleeding down. And how? And talk about bleeding, what has strategy been doing? Simple, it's been following Bitcoin's gravitational pull. That's it, unfortunately for Michael Saylor. Those seas are choppy for Michael's sailing. The uncertainty inside the stock market is getting felt by crypto. You can just look at the crypto market as the living, breathing fear gauge of global financial markets. That's the best way to look at it. And looking on a daily basis, since around the start of October, we've seen that the crypto market has been coming down. It's absolutely relentless. We also know that the crypto market, just like every other market, is controlled by structure. So long as we know where the structure is, we can make informed decisions. And I will certainly be looking into the structure on lower levels in total crypto market cap and Bitcoin. These are the absolute essential charts that you need to look at. Now, the market does like to prove everybody incorrect. So what would happen if we got a hell of a green candle coming out of all of this? That would be something that most people wouldn't even be thinking of, because what we've seen over the past 3 days is just red candle action. You can see past 3 days, red candle action, past 3 days, red candle action, and then pretty much a turnaround on the 4th day. So just bear this in mind. That was row 5. If we look into row 6 of the cheat sheet, which is Litecoin, Bitcoin Cash, Binance Coin, and Ethereum Classic. Now, what do we see here? I'll just do that. This is on a daily basis. I'll do it from the start of October. So we're always comparing apples to apples. Apples to apples is a very good comparison. Now, what we see, Litecoin has been under pressure, but not as much pressure as Bitcoin has been under. What about Bitcoin Cash? It's been under pressure and it's just moving in alignment with Bitcoin. All cryptos will move in alignment with Bitcoin anyway. Now, when we look at Binance Coin has been coming down rather hard, and it was incredibly strong. It was just going the opposite direction and just having so much power. But that was, in fact, because the crypto market was getting very excited for different projects coming online, and that has since faded. Now, what does this mean? It means that no alt can escape Bitcoin's gravity. Because we have rules, those rules can save us. Ethereum Classic is also coming down. So when we look at the number of red days, for example, on Litecoin and Bitcoin Cash, Litecoin and Bitcoin Cash can show us early signs of Bitcoin's repair. That's why they're quite good to look at. We can see 4 days, 3 days up, 2 days down, 4 days up, kind of, a little bit mixed, but around 4 days red. So around the 4-day mark, we would expect and anticipate some kind of reaction that could take the markets positive. And this would simply be something that people would not even have on their radar. They would be panicking. I think we should share that panic song. I'll do that a little bit later. That panic song is all about really baked in wisdom. If you understand what this song's lyrics mean, it can save you. It can save your account. Looking into row 7, which is Cardano, ADA, Sol, Doge, and XRP, we can see that from the start of October, ADA has been under a lot of negative price momentum, as has Solana. Solana has been hit. What about Dogecoin? That was hit, starting to turn around and got weak again. What about XRP? XRP was hit, starting to turn around and got whacked again. Why did XRP get whacked? Because of the stock market. Therefore, if we're not looking at the main markets, we're missing out on huge degrees of alpha. And alpha is our middle name. First name, BORSOG. And if you're not quite sure what BORSOG is, it's buy on red, sell on green. And why the heck would we do that? Because most people sell on red and buy on green and get cut to shreds. We're not into shredding unless it's cheese. Let's have a look structurally into total crypto market cap. Now, what are these shaded areas? These shaded areas are called SCs. How are SCs created? They're created through level 2 standard certification. It's just basically a shaded area around SLs or CTKS levels. Now, those levels are formed through 2 levels of standard certification. So what you're seeing here is not just some random line or random zone drawn on a particular chart. It's real. It is institutional grade, and it's read to the right. Now, what does that mean? We read it to the right. We understand where price is now, and then we read these zones across to the right. Now, we do have a GW between 3.34 and around that 3.40. Now, what does that mean? If we get that kickback, which we would anticipate because these are gravitational wells or GWs, we would anticipate it coming back into this area and making a decision, either to break up or to break down. It's called a retest. And we can see these retests. We don't have to look really that far back in time. Around the 4th, we came down and we got a retest, came down, got another retest, and then it passed, and then it failed. Now, what do we need to do? We need to keep a very close eye on not stories, but the actual structure inside the market. It does pay to help to understand what crypto actually is. A lot of people think crypto is a lot of different things, but from a purely technical perspective, crypto is a living, breathing fear and greed index of all global markets, trading 24/7 by 365. Now, what does this mean right now? The greed is going out of the market. People are feeling fear. Now, we had a similar situation to this, and what happened next? Price reversed. So what typically happens is that, unfortunately, people, when they sell on red, they tend to buy back on green and then continue to sell on red, buy back on green. You get the idea. That's not what you want to do. Also, as we enter the weekend, we may get a lot of choppiness. The weekends do tend to be quite flat, but when you see kind of price action like this just before the weekend, you just got to bear in mind that the weekend could be choppy. Low liquidity exists on the weekend. It's very easy for the institutions to push price in the direction they want to go, which is generally down. And don't forget, when price is pushed down, it's generally to buy. And unlike investors, institutions don't hodl. They just get in and get out all the time. They're doing it repeatedly. So thinking like an institution of one, you can take advantage of these waves as well. That is exactly why we're top 1%. 99% will be selling here and 99% will be buying here and 99% will be selling here. Structure is the single most important thing that you'll ever learn and ever apply to a price chart. Remember, price is reality. Stories are misleading. And intercorrelation absolutely rules. Why has Bitcoin come down like this? It's come down like this because the VIX spiked up. And this is on a 2-hourly basis. So we can see this chart has come down because of that VIX spike. Now, we do know there's a GW between 101,200 and around that 104 area. And we've just passed through an area of structure just around the $99,000 area. Bitcoin is currently 98,518. We've also got a structural level at 96,500, which is unfortunately quite light. When you understand structure, you understand how strong or how weak structural levels actually are and how clustered they are, or if they've got gaps or not. Now, unfortunately, it's pretty gappy, literally and down to around the 93. Now, it's not a pre-drawn conclusion that Bitcoin will just race off and sell down to 93. Please let me know in the comments, where do you think Bitcoin will go in the next 24 hours or maybe just across the weekend? For example, when we saw this big red sell down, in the last video I said there's a GW in here, we would expect it to bounce. Please let me know in the comments, are you buying or are you sitting this one out or are you running? It's also a good idea to think about what you did in this previous sell down. Did you run here or did you get in? And when it didn't get across the GW, did you hold the position or did you get rid of it? It is highly likely the markets are going to get into panic. Now, why is that the case? Because these CTKS areas are very widely interdispersed. Now, what does that mean? When there's not a GW close at hand, the price can get very, very volatile to the upside and also to the downside. And we've got a couple of negative CTKS gaps in existence as well as one positive. And if you've watched this month's Elite Service video, you already know you've done a masterclass across all of the different charts. And you've prepared yourself for up, down, and sideways price action. Another thing the other 99% does not do, would never do. It's only a story for the 99%. For our 1%, here, it's always about reality. That's why you're incredibly elite people. I'm going to pop in the panic song. Now, one thing I do with my own trading, I just come into @CTKSmethod, just press the search and go to CTKS Positive Mindset Tunes. Go into videos or you can go into the playlist and just play these tunes. They are spectacular. They will help you to understand what the market is actually doing and also how to live a better life. And the playlist is really, really good. The CTKS Trader playlist right here is exceptional. It's all 100% free and it's absolutely invaluable. Okay, here's panic.
I watch the chart, the candle drops, price spikes low, volume pops. Do I sell, do I pray, do I freeze or run away? Panic hits, profits slip, slip, slip. News hits hard, fear ignites, sell, 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 feels justified. Each second screams, get out now, the only direction is down, the herd is loud, the chart's clear. I keep revenge trading with fear. Thud strikes, logic fades, every loss an increasing cascade. No control, no inner voice, just panic, disguised as choice. No calm, no edge, just fear and doubt. This market turns me inside out. Panic, too early or too late. Panic, highs collapse like falling knives. Panic, I don't know what to tell my wife. Panic, my wins I failed to keep. No control, just fearful action. Panic, forever caught in reaction. like lightning. The market changes, good news hits, I chase the green. Bye-bye, I feel so keen. Bye-bye, I know I'll win. But the market never lets me in. Something must change, I'm going insane. Consistent losses, I do nothing but blame. CTKS, my guide is here. Now I'm getting clear, I now trade structure. I plan, I pause, my mind is right. Precision stays, emotion fades. CTKS, my edge is made. Structure strong, teaches where my trades belong. CTKS, I wait confirm. I trust the edge I've come to learn. With a calm edge, I ride market waves. I now know where to put my trades. Calm, I have X-ray vision. Calm, levels reveal my mission. Calm, collecting my profits. Calm, from consistent losses to gains. CTKS, I've been trained. Panic, no more. Now I breathe, I wait, I draw. C2KS, I'm made. It's C2KS, levels I trade. Fear dissolves, my skills displayed. No more chaos, no uproar. Panic, no more. Now I'm prepared, not scared. CTKS, I'm fully aware. Structure stays, emotion spared. Panic, no more.
If you found a new knowledge gem or learnt something new, please share it in the comments. We are a community of abundance, not scarcity. If you're new, we would love for you to become part of our global family. All you need to do is smash like, subscribe, press the notification bell, and comment on what time it is now. Doing this shows that you are committed to forging a better life for yourself and the ones that you love. With financial literacy, you can become recession-proof. Trading and investing are lifelong professions. Tourists visit during bull markets only to get wiped out, but professionals stay no matter the market conditions because they know that making just 3% per week is a 365% return per year. We are the elite 1% in financial markets. You will create security and financial freedom in direct proportion to your willingness to learn and grow, and never blame. If you commit, your world will improve immediately. If you're going through a life pullback, our love and healing thoughts are with you. The sun will come out again. There is always hope. Be kind to yourself, be kind to others. Show gratitude and happiness, and you'll already feel richer today, and today is all we ever really have. Kate and I very much look forward to joining you again in the next video.